Hot coffee hit his chest. Not spilled, thrown. The cup bounced off his suit and shattered at his feet as dark liquid soaked into the fabric, steam rising off his shirt like smoke. A woman gasped. Someone laughed. "Watch where you stand," the manager said casually, setting the empty cup down. "This isn't a cafe." The black man stood frozen for half a second, coffee dripping from his jacket, burning through the thin layer of cloth. His hands clenched, then relaxed. He didn't shout, didn't curse, didn't move to wipe himself. Every eye in the room stayed on him now, waiting, expecting anger, begging for a reaction. Instead, he straightened slowly, adjusted his ruined suit, lifted his head. "I'll still stay," he said calmly. The manager frowned. "Stay for what?" The man met his eyes, voice steady. "For the vote." The room shifted. Uneasy. Confused. If you're watching and you love stories where power is silent and respect comes too late, subscribe now. Like this video, and comment where you're watching from. Because what they just did is about to cost them everything. The manager laughed. "There is no vote." The man glanced at the screen behind them. "There will be." And that was when the projector turned on by itself. The sudden glow washed the far wall in pale blue light. Conversations died instantly. The manager turned sharply. "Who touched that?" No one answered. The screen flickered once, then stabilized. A clean interface appeared. Minimal. Corporate. The kind executives trusted without thinking. A loading bar crawled forward. 1%. 2. The manager exhaled sharply. "This isn't funny. Turn it off." The black man didn't look at the screen. His attention stayed on the people around the table. The subtle changes in posture, the way confidence leaked out in small, unguarded ways. A woman near the end of the table pulled her blazer tighter around herself. Another man cleared his throat. "Is this scheduled?" The loading bar reached 10%. The manager stepped toward the control panel on the wall and pressed a button. Nothing happened. He pressed it again. Still nothing. "That's enough," he snapped. "Security." The door behind them didn't open. Someone tried the handle. Locked. A murmur rippled through the room, low and uneasy now. Not laughter. Not amusement. Something closer to concern. The black man finally moved. He reached into his inner jacket pocket, slowly, deliberately, and removed a folded white handkerchief. He dabbed once at the coffee soaking into his shirt, then tucked the cloth away again, unhurried. "You should let it play," he said. The manager turned on him. "You think you're in control here?" The man met his eyes. "No," he said calmly. "I know I am not." The loading bar hit 20%. A name appeared briefly at the bottom corner of the screen, then vanished too quickly to read. The woman who had gasped earlier leaned forward. "Did anyone else see that?" "See what?" the manager barked. She hesitated. "Nothing. Maybe I imagined it." The black man allowed himself a small breath through his nose. Almost a smile. Almost. At 25%, the first slide appeared. Not numbers. Not charts. Faces. Photographs lined up in neat rows. Headshots. Formal. Corporate portraits. The room went completely silent. The manager stared at the screen, confused. "Why is my picture up there?" His face was centered. Enlarged. Labeled with his full name and title. Beneath it, a timeline. Dates. Notes. Red markers. "What is this?" someone whispered. The manager laughed, too loudly. "This is ridiculous. Whoever you are." The black man interrupted him gently. "Please don't." The manager froze mid-sentence. Something in the man's voice, not louder, not sharper, made him stop. The screen changed. A new face appeared beside the manager's. Then another. And another. Executives around the table shifted in their seats as they recognized themselves, one by one, watching their own images populate the screen. "What kind of presentation is this?" a man asked, his voice tight. A necessary one, the black man replied. The manager slammed his palm on the table. You think throwing slides on a screen gives you authority? The black man finally turned fully toward him. Authority, he said, is not something you feel. It's something other people realize too late. The loading bar hit 40%. The screen split into 2 columns. On the left, dates, contracts, signatures. On the right, red annotations, warnings, flags. The woman at the end of the table sucked in a breath. Those are internal reviews. They're confidential, another voice said sharply. They were, the black man corrected. The manager stepped back slowly now. Who are you? The man didn't answer. Instead, he moved to the empty chair at the head of the table. The manager opened his mouth to protest, then closed it again when no one else spoke. The black man sat, coffee-stained, composed. The chair didn't creak. The table didn't move. But the balance in the room shifted all the same. At 9 o'clock, the man said, checking his watch. This meeting was supposed to begin. The manager glanced instinctively at the clock on the wall. 9:27 a.m. We're behind schedule, the black man continued. So I'll be brief. He gestured toward the screen. Every face you see here represents a vote, he said. Every document represents a decision already made. That's not how this works, the manager said hoarsely. The man nodded. That's what you believed. A man 2 seats down leaned forward. Are you saying the board? I am saying, the black man replied, that the board is waiting. Waiting. The word hung heavy. The woman who had spoken earlier raised her hand slightly, then dropped it. Waiting for what? The black man's gaze moved slowly around the table, meeting each pair of eyes in turn. For you, he said. To finish. The manager laughed again, but the sound cracked halfway through. Finish what? The black man folded his hands on the table, fingers interlaced. Underestimating me. The screen dimmed. The faces vanished. A new slide appeared. Bold letters. Voting protocol initializing. The room erupted. This is insane. You can't do this. Who authorized? The black man raised one hand. Not high. Not dramatic. Just enough. The noise died. Sit, he said. They did. Not because they wanted to. Because something in the room had shifted from uncertainty to inevitability. The manager remained standing. You think one presentation erases years of hierarchy? He demanded. The black man looked up at him. No, he said. I think one vote does. The projector hummed softly. A countdown appeared. 2 o'clock. The manager's face drained of color. What happens when it reaches 0? He asked. The black man leaned back slightly in his chair. That, he said, depends on how honest everyone chooses to be. The timer ticked down. 1:59. No one spoke. Not anymore. Before we continue, if you enjoy stories where power is silent and consequences are irreversible, subscribe now. Like this video, and stay with me. Because from this point on, there is no turning back. The timer continued its steady descent, each second loud in the silence that had swallowed the boardroom. 1:58. 1:57. The manager remained standing, but the way he stood had changed. The arrogance that had thrown the coffee was still there, somewhere deep, clinging to him like a habit. But on the surface, something else had taken over. Uncertainty pretending to be anger. He tried to laugh again. It came out thin. You think you can lock doors and run a countdown like we're in some movie, he said, scanning the room for support. Someone call IT. This is a glitch. A prank. Nobody moved. The executives who had laughed earlier avoided his eyes now. The sound of their breathing seemed amplified. Even the air conditioning felt too loud, too present. The black man at the head of the table watched them all with the calm of someone who had already lived through the worst part. The manager pointed at him. You. Who are you really? The man's gaze didn't harden. It didn't soften either. A person you chose to humiliate, he said simply. The manager swallowed. I didn't know. The man lifted a finger slightly, not as a warning, but as a correction. That's the point, he said. You didn't know. And you didn't care to find out. 141. A woman on the far right, sleek hair pulled into a tight knot, nails perfect, eyes sharp, leaned forward. If this is about being disrespected, we can address that. Privately. We're professionals. The black man turned his head toward her. Professionals don't throw coffee, he said. Her lips tightened. That wasn't me. No, he agreed. It wasn't. And somehow that was worse, because it reminded everyone that the coffee wasn't the only problem. It was just the first proof of a deeper sickness. The manager's voice rose, trying to force control back into the room. This is insane. Whoever you are, you've crossed a line. The black man looked down at his coffee-stained sleeve as if noticing it for the first time. You crossed the line, he said. I simply stopped pretending it wasn't there. 122. The woman who had gasped at the beginning shifted in her seat. She looked like she regretted her position in this room, like she wished she could rewind time and choose a different morning. What happens when the timer ends? She asked again, quieter now. The black man's eyes returned to the screen. The voting channel opens, he said. And the results are recorded. Immediately. Recorded where? Another executive asked. In places you can't negotiate with, the man replied. The manager scoffed. You're bluffing. The black man didn't answer. Instead, he reached under the table and pulled out a slim remote. He set it on the polished surface and slid it forward. The manager stared at it as if it were a weapon. You can stop the timer, the black man said. The manager's eyes flickered. Finally. Some sense. But, the man continued, voice steady, if you touch that remote, the voting will begin immediately. No delay. The manager froze. The room reacted like a single body, everyone leaning in slightly, everyone suddenly aware that time was not the enemy anymore. Choice was 105. A man with silver hair and a watch that could have bought a house cleared his throat. We don't even know what we're voting on. The black man looked at him. You do, he said. You just haven't admitted it to each other yet. The silver-haired man's jaw flexed. We're voting to remove leadership? The black man's eyes didn't leave his face. Leadership, he echoed. Yes. The manager's posture snapped straighter. Remove leadership? You mean me? The black man tilted his head. Do you believe you're the only leadership here? That landed like a slap. The manager's eyes darted around the table again, searching for allies. Some stared down. Some stared at the screen. One woman stared at her own reflection in the glossy table surface like she didn't recognize herself. 042. A soft chime sounded from somewhere in the ceiling. A new line of text appeared on the screen beneath the countdown. Identity verification pending. The manager's face twitched. Identity verification? For who? The black man's voice remained calm. For everyone. The manager laughed too loudly, desperation disguised as confidence. You're going to verify our identities? Here. In this room. The black man leaned back slightly. Not your names, he said. Your loyalty. 030. The door behind them clicked once, then twice, as if the building itself was listening. The manager moved toward the door again, grabbed the handle, and yanked. Nothing. He slammed his palm against the glass. Open it. Silence. He turned back to the table, breathing harder now. This is unlawful. You can't trap people like this. The black man watched him without blinking. You trapped yourself the moment you decided the rules didn't apply to people you didn't respect. 018. The woman with the tight knot spoke again, voice brittle. I don't like this. I want names. I want to know who he is and why he's. The black man raised his hand again, the same small gesture. She stopped mid-sentence, like a reflex. That realization shook her. She blinked rapidly, as if waking up to the fact she'd obeyed him without thinking. The black man watched her reaction and said quietly, That's why this vote matters. 0:10. The countdown felt like it was in their lungs now. 0:09. 0:08. The manager's eyes flicked to the remote again. 0:07. The black man's voice softened. Not kinder, just lower. This is your last moment to decide what kind of person you are when power can no longer protect you. 0:06. 0:05. The room was completely still. 0:04. Someone's phone vibrated faintly on the table. No one dared check it. 0:03. The manager's hand hovered above the remote. 0:02. The black man met his eyes. 0:01. The manager jerked his hand back as if burned. Midnight. A low tone sounded, like a vault unlocking. The screen changed. A clean interface appeared. Simple. Unforgiving. Vote now open. Below it, 3 options, each one a different kind of death. Option A. Maintain current leadership. Option B. Remove management immediately. Option C. Initiate full investigation. The manager let out a breath that sounded like a laugh and a choke combined. This is a joke. A childish. A new message appeared on the screen, in bold. All votes are anonymous. All results are final. The manager's face drained. Anonymous meant no protection. No intimidation. No backroom deals. No threats whispered after the meeting. A woman lifted her tablet with shaking hands. My device just. The silver-haired man checked his phone. Mine too. One by one, screens across the table lit up. Each executive had the same voting page. The black man sat still, hands folded. Coffee stained dark against his suit like a badge he didn't bother hiding. Why are you doing this? The gasping woman asked him, voice breaking. The manager barked. Because he wants to blackmail us. That's why. The black man turned slightly toward her, ignoring the manager as if he were background noise. I'm doing this, he said, because you've been voting for years. Just not openly. The woman blinked. Voting for what? For who gets protected, he said. Who gets sacrificed? Who gets silenced? The manager snapped. Enough of the poetry. You're not some moral judge. The black man's eyes lifted to him slowly. No, he said. I'm not. He paused, just long enough to make the room lean into the silence. I'm the consequence. The manager flinched as if hit. A faint beep sounded from the screen. Voting window. 3 o'clock. A timer started again, counting down from 3 minutes. The manager's hands shook now, barely controlled. You can't do this. You don't have the authority. The black man's voice was almost gentle. Say that again. The manager hesitated. The black man leaned forward slightly. Say it clearly, he said. So everyone hears. The manager forced the words out. You don't have the authority. The black man nodded once, satisfied. Then he gestured toward the screen. A new panel slid open on the side. Current authority holder. Verified. The name was blurred. But the title wasn't. Interim chairman. The room reacted instantly. Interim chairman, someone whispered. That doesn't make sense. Who appointed? The black man didn't look at the panel. It makes sense, he said calmly, if you've been paying attention. The manager lunged forward, snatching the nearest tablet off the table. Let me see. The silver-haired man grabbed his wrist. Don't. The manager turned, shocked. Let go of me. The silver-haired man's voice was low. Don't touch anything. The manager stared at him. Are you on his side now? The silver-haired man didn't answer. His eyes stayed on his own device. The voting options. The timer. The manager looked around the room, voice rising, panic pushing through the cracks. We're not doing this. Put your devices down. No one listened. Because the most terrifying thing in the room wasn't the locked door. It was the fact that everyone suddenly had permission to tell the truth. The woman with the tight knot lifted her chin. If votes are anonymous, she said carefully, then why are we being watched? The black man looked at her. Because anonymity doesn't stop consequences, he he said. It only stops revenge. She swallowed hard. What consequences? The black man's gaze moved across the faces again. That depends on what you're hiding, he said. A man near the middle, youngest in the room, barely old enough to have earned his seat, spoke suddenly. Option C, he said. Full investigation. That's... Shut up, the manager snapped. The younger man froze. The black man's eyes turned to the manager again. Let him speak, he said. The manager's jaw clenched. He doesn't know what he's saying. The black man's voice was calm, but it carried weight now, like the room had decided it would listen to him whether it wanted to or not. He knows exactly what he's saying, he replied. He's saying he wants to survive. The younger man's fingers hovered above his screen, trembling. The manager leaned closer to him, voice dropping to a threatening whisper. If you vote against me, I will end you. The younger man's eyes widened. The black man's gaze sharpened slightly. Not angry, focused. Threatening someone during an anonymous vote is a strange choice, he said. Unless you believe fear is still your only tool. The manager snapped his head toward him. You set this up. You're the one threatening us. The black man didn't raise his voice. I offered you choices, he said. You offered him terror. The younger man swallowed, then slowly tapped his screen. A soft confirmation tone sounded. The manager stared at him. What did you just do? The younger man didn't answer. The manager turned to the silver-haired man. Tell him to undo it. The silver-haired man's face was pale. There's no undoing, he murmured. The timer on the main screen ticked down. 2:12. A faint sound came from the projector, like a machine recording data. The gasping woman pressed her lips together, then tapped her screen too. Confirmation tone. The manager's eyes darted. Stop it. Stop voting. A third confirmation tone sounded. Then a fourth. The manager's breathing turned ragged. His confidence collapsed fully now, like a suit that no longer fit him. He turned to the black man, voice raw. What do you want? The black man studied him for a moment, as if considering whether the question deserved an answer. I want you, he said, to understand the cost of treating human beings like disposable objects. The manager swallowed hard. I didn't know who you were. The black man's eyes didn't blink. You still don't, he said. The manager's face twisted. Then tell me. The black man leaned back again, composure intact. No, he said. Not yet. The manager slammed both hands on the table. You can't keep doing this mysterious nonsense. The black man cut him off quietly. Sit. The manager froze. The command wasn't loud, but it landed like iron. For one humiliating second, it looked like he might obey. His knees tensed. His body remembered hierarchy. Then he caught himself, anger flashing across his face as he realized what almost happened. He stayed standing, but the moment had exposed him. The room had seen it. 2:00. The black man spoke again, voice even. You poured coffee on someone you believed was beneath you, he said. Now you're standing in front of people who are deciding whether you get to keep existing in their world. The manager's throat bobbed. Existing. The black man nodded toward the screen. A new message appeared. Votes cast. June 11th. The manager's eyes widened. He spun to the nearest executive. What did you vote? No one answered. He moved to another. What did you vote? Still nothing. The anonymity was eating him alive. He wasn't afraid of being fired. He was afraid of not knowing who hated him enough to do it. A sudden ring cut through the silence. Sharp. Old-fashioned. The boardroom phone. Everyone stared at it like it was a snake. The black man didn't move. The manager hesitated, then snatched the receiver. Hello. A voice came through, calm, controlled, and unfamiliar. Do not interfere with the vote, the voice said. The manager's face tightened. Who is this? You already know, the voice replied. You just never looked. The line went dead. The manager stood there holding the receiver, eyes wide, as if the phone had just pronounced his sentence. The black man finally spoke again. "That call," he said quietly, "was your warning." The manager turned slowly toward him. "Warning for what?" The black man's gaze shifted to the screen as the timer continued to drop. 1:21. "Your next mistake," he said, "will be your last." The manager stared at him. Coffee stain, calm eyes, unshaken posture, and for the first time, something like recognition tried to form. Not recognition of a face. Recognition of a kind of power the manager had never learned to respect. And that was when the projector flickered again. The blurred name beside interim chairman sharpened slightly, just for a second. Enough for someone sharp to read it. The woman with the tight knot gasped softly. Her eyes snapped to the black man. And her voice came out like a whisper of fear. "No," she breathed. "It's you." The manager heard her. He turned toward her, desperate. "What is she talking about? Who is he?" The woman didn't answer. She simply stared at the black man like she'd just watched a ghost step out of the past and into the present. The black man met her eyes. And in that silent exchange, the entire room felt the temperature drop. 1 o'clock. The manager's voice broke. "Who are you?" The black man didn't respond. He just raised his hand slightly and pointed at the screen. "Finish voting," he said. The timer hit 0:59. And the room understood, all at once, that the vote was no longer the climax. The vote was the door. What waited on the other side was worse. The room didn't breathe. Not properly. Everyone was staring at the screen now, at the name that had almost revealed itself, at the timer that kept ticking like it didn't care who panicked and who survived. 0:58. The woman who had gasped earlier lowered her eyes slowly, as if afraid someone might accuse her of seeing too much. The manager noticed. "What did you see?" he demanded, voice sharp. "What name?" She didn't answer. He stepped toward her. "Answer me." The black man spoke before she could. "Sit down." The command wasn't louder than the manager's voice had been earlier. But it didn't need to be. The manager turned toward him, rage and fear mixing badly. "You don't give me orders." The black man tilted his head slightly. Then stopped following them. For a moment, it looked like the manager might explode. Then something unexpected happened. He laughed. Not confident laughter. Not mocking laughter. The kind that comes from someone realizing the ground beneath them isn't solid anymore. "You think this is impressive," the manager said, spreading his hands. "Screens, locks, anonymous votes? I built this place. I know where every body is buried." The black man nodded. "That's why this is happening." The manager's smile twitched. "You think dirt scares me?" "No," the man said. "I think exposure does." The screen changed again. A new document slid into view. Then another. Then another. Internal emails. Private memos. Subject lines only at first, just enough for recognition to strike. The silver-haired man leaned forward slowly. "Those are internal." "They were," the black man replied. A woman across the table pressed her lips together. "Those files were deleted." The black man looked at her. "Deletion is a courtesy," he said. "Not a guarantee." If you're still watching at this point, subscribe now. Stories like this only get darker from here, and you don't want to miss how it ends. The manager's confidence cracked again, visibly this time. "Those documents are out of context," he snapped. "Half of you signed off on those decisions." The black man's eyes moved from face to face. "He's right," he said calmly. The room stiffened. "He didn't act alone," the man continued. "That's why this isn't a trial. It's a reckoning." A new column appeared on the screen. Compliance ratings. Numbers. Percentages. Red indicators. Someone whispered, "That can't be legal." The black man replied without looking away from the screen. "It's thorough." The manager lunged forward, slamming his palm on the table. "Enough. You're manipulating them." The black man finally raised his voice, just slightly. "No," he said. "I'm reminding them." The younger executive, the one who had voted early, swallowed hard. Reminding us of what? The black man turned toward him. Of what you agreed to protect, he said. And what you agreed to ignore. The room felt smaller now. Claustrophobic. Like the walls were closing in slowly, politely. The woman with the tight knot spoke again, voice unsteady. If this goes through, what happens to him? She nodded toward the manager. The black man didn't hesitate. He loses his authority, he said. Immediately. The manager scoffed. And then what? You fire me. The black man looked at him. No, he said. You face what you avoided. The manager's face darkened. You don't scare me. The black man met his eyes. You're lying, he said quietly. The timer ticked. 0:41. A man near the middle raised his hand slowly. If we vote for full investigation. The black man turned toward him. Then everything comes out, he said. Not selectively. Not conveniently. Everything. The man hesitated. And if we don't? The black man's gaze hardened slightly. Then you inherit his silence. The implication landed. The manager pointed wildly. You hear him? This is coercion. The black man's response was immediate. This is accountability. The projector hummed again. A new section opened. Past complaints, archived. Dates stretched back years. Names attached to grievances that had never been resolved. The woman who had gasped earlier covered her mouth. I filed one of those, she whispered. The manager froze. She looked up at him. You told me to drop it. The room shifted. Another executive spoke. So did I. A third voice joined in. Mine was buried. The manager backed away from the table slowly, as if surrounded. That's not fair, he said. You don't understand the pressure. The black man cut him off. Neither did they, he said. If this story is making your chest tight, subscribe now. This is the moment where silence finally breaks. The manager's voice cracked. Why are you doing this? Why now? The black man didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stood. The room reacted instantly. Chairs creaked. Backs straightened. He stepped out from behind the table, coffee-stained suit still clinging to him, and walked slowly toward the screen. You want to know why now, he said. The manager nodded desperately. The black man turned toward the room. Because today, he said, you voted to continue pretending. He tapped the remote once. The screen changed. A younger face appeared. Not corporate. Not polished. A photograph taken years ago. The room went quiet again. The woman with the tight knot inhaled sharply. That's my brother, the black man said. The manager stared at the screen. I don't know him. The black man's eyes never left the image. He worked here, he said. Briefly. The manager frowned. That was before my time. The black man turned to face him. You approved the report that ended his career. The manager's mouth opened. Closed. The black man continued. You labeled him difficult. Unfit. Disruptive. The woman whispered. Those are code words. The black man nodded. They always are. The manager shook his head violently. I don't remember. You don't remember because it didn't cost you anything, the black man said. The screen zoomed in on the photo. A date appeared beneath it. The room felt colder. If this story is hitting you emotionally, subscribe now. This is where everything changes. The manager's voice was barely audible now. What happened to him? The black man's jaw tightened, the first visible crack in his composure. He left, he said, and never recovered. The room understood what wasn't said. The black man turned back to the table. This vote, he said, isn't revenge. It's correction. The manager shook his head. You planned this. All of it. The black man met his eyes. I survived it, he said. Planning came later. The timer ticked again. 0:27. The voting interface pulsed softly. A new alert appeared. Votes cast. 9-11. The manager's knees nearly gave out. "Who voted?" he whispered. No one answered. The woman who had gasped earlier lifted her chin. "I did." The manager turned toward her. "For what?" She swallowed. "For the truth." Another executive spoke. "So did I." The silver-haired man nodded slowly. "It's time." The manager spun toward the black man, panic breaking through completely now. "You can stop this. Whatever you want. Money, position." The black man shook his head once. "You already paid," he said. "Just not me." The room felt it. The finality. The timer dropped again. 0:15. The manager backed away, bumping into a chair. "You can't erase me." The black man stepped closer. "I'm not erasing you," he said. "I'm introducing you to consequences." The screen chimed. Votes cast. October 11th. 1 left. Everyone turned toward the manager. He looked around wildly. "You can't make me vote." The black man tilted his head. "No," he said. "But you will." The manager's hand shook as his tablet lit up. The final voting screen stared back at him. Option A. Option B. Option C. His breathing grew ragged. The black man leaned slightly closer. "Choose," he said. The manager looked up at him, eyes red, voice breaking. "If I choose wrong." The black man's voice was steady. "You already did. Years ago." The timer hit 0:05. The room held its breath. 0:04. 0:03. The manager screamed. "This is a setup." 0:02. The black man didn't blink. 0:01. The manager slammed his finger onto the screen. A confirmation tone sounded. The projector hummed. The voting window closed. The room stood frozen. The black man straightened slowly. "Good," he said. The screen flickered one last time. Voting complete. The result had not yet appeared. And somehow that was worse. The screen stayed dark for 3 long seconds after the words "voting complete" appeared. No applause. No movement. No relief. Just the faint hum of the projector and the sound of breathing that felt too loud in a room full of people who had just decided someone else's fate. The manager stood perfectly still, eyes locked on the screen as if staring harder might change what was about to happen. The black man didn't look at him. He looked at the table. At the executives who had spent years mastering silence, compliance, and convenient forgetting. The screen flickered once. Then the result appeared. Option B. Remove management immediately approved. Unanimous. The word unanimous seemed to echo. The manager staggered back half a step. "That's not possible," he whispered. "I didn't." The silver-haired man spoke calmly, without looking at him. "You voted too." The manager turned sharply. "I didn't vote for that." The black man finally looked at him. "You voted," he said, "for the least painful lie." The manager's mouth opened, then closed again. A new panel slid onto the screen. Authority transfer in progress. Keys changed hands digitally. Access levels revoked. Permissions reassigned. The room watched in silence as the system dismantled him line by line. The woman with the tight knot exhaled shakily. "It's happening." "Yes," the black man said. "It already has." The manager's tablet went dark. He tapped it once. Twice. Nothing. His phone vibrated. Then vibrated again. And again. He looked down. Access denied. Account suspended. Meeting privileges revoked. He looked up slowly, disbelief etched into his face. "You can't just erase someone." The black man's voice was calm, almost reflective. "I didn't erase you," he said. "I removed the protection. If you're still here, subscribe now. This is the moment where power finally shows its true face." The boardroom door unlocked with a soft click. No one moved. Security didn't rush in. No dramatic escort. Just the option to leave. The manager laughed weakly. "That's it?" he asked. "After all this, You just let me walk out? The black man nodded. Walking out is the consequence, he said. For years, people walked out because of you. Now it's your turn. The manager looked around the table, searching for someone, anyone, to meet his eyes. No one did. He backed toward the door slowly, dignity peeling away with every step. You think this ends me? The black man met his gaze evenly. No, he said. I think this begins you. The manager swallowed hard, then turned and left. The door closed behind him. Not slammed. Just closed. Silence reclaimed the room. The screen updated again. Interim chairman. Confirmed. This time, the name was clear. The room stiffened as everyone read it. The woman with the tight knot lowered her head slowly. It really is you. The black man didn't deny it. The silver-haired man stood. We should formally acknowledge. The black man raised his hand. Sit, he said. The man obeyed immediately. The black man remained standing, coffee stain still visible, no attempt made to hide it. I didn't come here to rule you, he said. I came to correct something. He turned toward the screen again. My brother believed this company could be better than its worst habits, he continued. He was punished for that belief. The room listened now. Not because they had to. Because they understood. I don't need loyalty, the black man said. I need honesty. And I need memory. The woman who had filed the complaint years ago raised her hand slightly. What happens to us? The black man looked at her. That depends on what you choose to protect now. He walked slowly back to the head of the table and sat. The projector dimmed. The meeting was over. Not with chaos. Not with applause. With clarity. As the executives began to rise, carefully, quietly, the black man glanced once at the empty space where the manager had stood. He reached into his jacket and removed the folded white handkerchief again. He dabbed at the last trace of coffee on his sleeve. Then he folded the cloth neatly and placed it on the table. A reminder. If this story stayed with you, subscribe. Because silence, when used right, is louder than any shout. The lights dimmed automatically. And for the first time that morning, the room felt clean.